Welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology, a weekly podcast presented by Brighthawk and Hollis Taylor. Together, we lay out the weekly astrology in an accessible, inclusive, candid, and insightful way, and what it means for you. Hollis is amazing. They're a seasoned astrologer and psychic medium. I'm a musician, artist, and storyteller. We love to make the cosmos relatable, which is why we begin by tuning in with a guided meditation, helping all of us ground and center and feel the planetary energies of the week more deeply. Then we dive into this week's astrological forecast, answer your questions, and then look at the horoscopes for all the signs for the week. Whether you're brand new to astrology or you've been following the stars for years, welcome to the conversation. Welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. Let's get centered, take a breath, and explore what the universe has in store for us.
Hello, everyone. Woohoo! Looks like I got flipped around, huh? We got flipped around a little bit. We're just experimenting with another way to do this. Mostly because a lot of people are on their mobile phone, and of course, this looks way better. So, on the mobile phone, right? Okay. I don't know how it would be with the charts. You guys have to give us feedback. Let us know how this view looks for you. We really appreciate you, and we hope that you appreciate this week's forecast. I'm Hollis of Rainbow Soulstrology forecast, and this is.
Hi there, I'm Brighthawk, and you can always learn more about me at brighthawkproductions.com. I, of course, am an artist and a musician, and always happy to be here on Monday evenings for Rainbow Soulstrology.
I invite you now to have a little, just allow yourself to breathe, and to settle in. And let's take this moment to have a little guided meditation. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. And imagine the beautiful night sky. And you are laying in your favorite thing, whether it's a hot tub, a wild hot springs, or maybe you're just on the edge of the forest, staring up at the beautiful night sky. Where is the luckiest place in the world for you to be? That's where I want you to be. So I imagine myself in a wild hot springs. It seems to be coming out from the top of a mountain. And above me, I can see the stars. There's several trees right behind me. And the forest is dark and quiet. And as I look up at the sky, the stars go on forever. And you notice in the distance is a star that's moving towards you, but you realize that's actually a planet. As you stare up, and that planet moves closer to you, that is planet Jupiter. And you know from the lightning bolts shooting out from the planet, and as it gets closer to you, you realize that the planet Jupiter is here to comfort you, to hold you in your luckiest moment, in your most blessed day, in things that help you expand, make money, or put you on your path. Beliefs that expand your mind. And as this huge planet spins in front of you, you recognize that this planet, the planet Jupiter, is huge, so big that it engulfs all and who you are. This is the planet that looks out for you, that holds you, and inspires you, pushes you to the best things in life. And as you welcome Jupiter into your life, put your hand on your heart and find the deepest of gratitude for the most joyful, beautiful things that you experience. You can thank Jupiter for that. And as you come back into your body, come back to your here and now, wiggle your toes and stretch your fingers, roll your shoulders, open your eyes, and join us here on Rainbow Soul Vodcast, Soulstrology Forecast. August 11th through the 17th.
Thank you very much.
Done. What did you guys think of the music though when I unmuted myself and you could hear me better? Did it echo too much? Did Bright Hawk's music still sound okay? It might have muted your music, I'm not sure. So Alyssa, thanks for speaking up. I'm glad that you could hear me. Yeah, right. Well, we're just getting used to this new setup, this new Rainbow Soul. It's probably good that I don't have that because I'm not supposed to lean forward. Anyway, so this week is actually, I looked through the astrology for the week, and we're still in that kite formation that we ended last week with, which was pretty good. Bright Hawk, I might need to mute. I think I need to mute you. Okay, Alyssa said the music sounded great too. I'll check it out in the recording, and we'll see how it sounds there too. All right. Hi, Elaine. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Elaine said the music was beautiful too.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Chelsea. All right. And Mike, hello.
Hello.
I'm glad you're all here. Hi, Brandy. How you doing? So we're just kind of switching things around like this to make easier for people on mobile phones, and then of course to be able to have reels from a lot of the things that I'm saying, because not everybody gets to tune into the forecast. And if you do ever see a reel, I appreciate it if you share it, especially if it's something good that's resonating with you, right? And I'm just going to say that this week is it's really quite blessed. And interestingly, I mean, the kite that we ended last week, which is mostly a good thing, there was the opposition. I mean, Mars is still opposite Saturn and Neptune. And let me just say, here's a hilarious thing. I have been dealing with like the health insurance thing that doesn't want to pay for the communication with the device I have implanted for my heart. And so like I've been playing, and I feel like I was thinking about it today. I was like, oh, that's not just Mercury retrograde. That's Mars opposite Saturn and Neptune, and me not understanding the system, having to work through the system because that's Saturn. And Mars is what ticks me off because, well, why should an insurance company say that it's necessary? Like, why wouldn't you pay for it, right? Like, I have an implant um for my heart, and there I'm talking about the communication of that implant between my heart and my doctor. Like, it's like, why won't you pay for this, right? And so it's sort of one of those moments where a lot of us have had where insurance companies don't pay for stupid little things. It's kind of annoying, and I'm like, this is definitely the system, and I wonder what illusion I might be under around it. That's what I also am wondering, like, what part is not true? So if you've been dealing with some sort of thing with the system, maybe it's your insurance company or something, that's what's going on. Bianca said, I'm having work health insurance issues. Also, Hollis, see what I mean? My heart goes out to you. Yeah, it's very stressful and annoying. And that's the Mars part. And then there's the system over here that seems to be like kind of cranking you through some sort of thing where you're like, so there might be an illusion around it, Bianca, and it'll probably come together by the end of the week, actually. So hopefully it will be resolved by the end of the week, really. Did you want to add anything, Bright Hawk? Oops.
We're working it out. Well, I was just going to say that trine, we remember the minor trine we've been talking about all month is still around. The grand trine that we talked about almost all of last week is mostly present most of this week. And then those oppositions we talked about last week, they're still in play at the beginning of the week, but by the end, by Sunday, all the oppositions have resolved. So the big headline today, in case we buried it, Mercury is going direct. Woohoo! So Mercury is no longer retrograde, although to me it doesn't really matter because I have Mercury retrograde, like 20% of people. And so it's just, it's more normal. But what seems to be true is still true. During a Mercury retrograde, I seem to break something, a glass, a jar, whatever. So, unfortunately, I broke a really favorite coffee cup of Hollis's. I was really bummed, but now that I know things are going to break during a Mercury retrograde, I'm not as shocked as I used to be. But notice the new cup is pretty choice. It's wood. It's made out of wood, so it can't break like ceramics. So it'll be a good week with that Jupiter Venus retrograde conjunction. And yeah, and the other thing you might notice about today, all day and all night today, there is a void moon. So if you're joining us for the first time and you haven't heard me talk about this thing called the void moon, the void moon happens every several days, really, because the moon travels through the zodiac sign about 2.5 days in each sign. So when it's switching signs, and of course we just this last weekend had a full moon in Aquarius, and now the moon is already moved into Pisces. And when it switches signs, it switches elements, not just signs, right? So imagine going from earthy or airy Aquarius. I was going to say earthy Capricorn. Airy Aquarius, and now watery Pisces, void moon all day. Like the last half of Pisces is void. Like the moon is void during that whole period. What does that mean? It means when the moon is void that the moon has the least amount of emotional energy. Remember, the moon represents our emotional body, so to speak, in our own natal charts. What is our emotional landscape is dictated by our moon. Of course, moon also represents mother. And when we're talking about the moon moving through each of these signs, every time it moves, we have that void. And if you've been listening to us for a while, you've seen that voids can be several minutes to, wow, all day and all night. It doesn't leave void until tomorrow morning. So if today you felt productive, I would be surprised. If you felt like you got done what you had to get done, I'm not surprised at all. One of the things that we try to tell folks about when you're navigating a void moon is, do you feel like you have less energy? You probably do. And in some cases, it's really great if you can take the opportunity to do self-care, take a walk, take a break, to do whatever feels good for you, have a meal. What you're really probably not supposed to be doing is a broadcast, an event, trying to get something happening when you're trying to like gen up energy and why is there no energy? That's sometimes what we hear ourselves saying. And then later we check and we go, oh, it's a void. Now you can take advantage of void moons for sure. Like have that conversation with the person that you don't want to have a dramatic thing happening with. Say you have somebody in your life that's drama, and you avoid them because you only got 2 minutes and I can't do a 22-minute conversation. Well, you could always work it out in the void moon and see if it's a shorter, quicker, easier relationship. Things that you don't want to catch a lot of attention do during the void, like filing taxes or submitting something that you just wanted to go, use the void. That's what we are starting to learn. So that's a little bit about void moons, and it's mostly because we have a big one all day, all night. The moon is currently in Pisces, so when the moon is in Pisces, it's wet and it's opposite its home. And in Cancer, and of course Pisces can be very spiritual and very about the unity of things, and it can also be very boundless, boundaryless, and What other things would we want to add, Hollis?
Well, for Pisces, you mean for Pisces moon? I always say that the thing about Pisces moon is that it's kind of it's psychic but doesn't know it and would never believe in itself for that. So it's not oops, sorry. um sorry about that. Um um so it's not like so Pisces doesn't know it's psychic. Okay, so Pisces is psychic but doesn't know it's psychic and is kind of like, did I guess that? Like, even if they get it right, especially a Pisces moon is very, very intuitive, but they often will really sort of self-sabotage themselves in that way. It's like the fish chasing the fish thing. It's almost like they can't they and then at some point they'll learn it, but it usually takes a little while. um it takes some time for the Pisces moon to recognize, but usually somewhat depending on where their moon is placed. For instance, has been in the 12th house, someone else is going to have to point it out, right? If it's over in the 8th house, they'll be like reading narcissists from across the freaking football field. They'll be like, that person is a narcissist. They'll be able to read narcissists just by their body language and their aura. Pisces, so that's the thing about Pisces, and it also would depend on their Neptune placement because Neptune rules Pisces. But when the moon is in Pisces, it makes me feel like everybody's intuition and psychic ability is sort of amplified, but also you have to be careful of not victimizing yourself.
Well said. And Samantha kind of points to it as well. Pisces are emotional. They feel deeply. They are the ocean of emotion, is what I always call them. And exactly what Hollis said. Sometimes they feel more deeply than they actually understand. Like, why am I feeling this? And they don't realize, oh, what I'm feeling is actually not just mine, but everybody else in this room. Or, why did I suddenly feel my mood change because so and so walked in and now I'm empathetic and I'm feeling them as well. Very empathic sign. So, when the moon is in Pisces, it can be emotional. It can be kind of and that untethered emotion, that kind of emotionality that hits you where you're like, oh God, why is this so much right now? I don't want this much emotion. That I can relate with that. Last 24 hours, yeah. Overwrought sometimes, another word for kind of over emotional. Yeah, so at the beginning of the week, we still have a pretty strong Mars opposition with Saturn and Neptune, which are both retrograde in Aries still at 1 degrees. And the moon right now is just about to pass right over that spot. So it's past, the charts that we do are for mountain time. Of course, Boulder, Colorado is where we live, or close enough to Boulder. We live up in the mountains. And so the moon is passing that. It's already past the south node, and it's about to pass over Saturn and Neptune in Aries at 1 degree. It's leaving that last bit of Pisces this evening. It's void right now. It'll be void until 10:30 tomorrow morning. And then again, we talked about this a lot last week, so I don't know how much I need to underscore it again. But Saturn and Neptune are sitting next to what we call the world point. They're at 1 degrees Aries, and the world point is 0 degrees Aries. This is why every astrologer is like, whoa, Nelly, these are really intense times that we're living in with that Saturn-Neptune conjunction at the world point. It is what it sounds like. It's the world point. It talks to the world, the tensions of the world. And the last time this Saturn was in this configuration was during World War II. Neptune and Saturn in Aries was 1940s, right? I think that's what one of the astrologers we
I'm not
were
sure
listening to.
exactly. Mhm.
Really intense. It's very intense. I'm not sure if it was the Saturn Neptune. It might have been the Pluto in Aquarius. That there's really big stuff that we're all experiencing. There's just no other way to put it.
Well, I think what Rick Levine was saying.
I'll put
Sorry,
myself
let me
on
unmute
mute.
myself. What Rick Levine was saying was that essentially the way all of the planets are set up right now, with Saturn and Neptune sort of traveling back and forth together, Pluto doing its dance in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini. Those are all the big planets. That's what like affects everybody, all of humanity. And that's kind of shifting us. It's it's what everyone is talking about, but I just explained it in an astrological way, where people are saying, "Oh, humanity is shifting and everything is changing and humanity is moving in different directions." And people can feel the shift among humanity right now. And I think that that shift is exactly what we're sensing. As far as we know, as long as humans have been documenting things, as far back as human history goes, we've never, ever had these big planets doing what they're doing now all at once, ever. And so we've had Saturn and Neptune travel together. We've had Uranus and Gemini before and those kinds of things, but we've never had this combination ever, which is interesting because, this is like the only thing we haven't lived through as far as we know. Like if you go back and back and back even to before Christ, according to Rick Levine. Yeah. So when you start to think about that, you start to go, okay, so this is a real shift. It's real.
Yeah. And this, part of what we like to talk about is the stuff that affects all of us. And so Mercury going direct, just so you know a little more about that, Mercury direct on the Mercury did its little pirouette at 4 degrees Leo, and it'll be in its shadow period, which means it's we of course understand the term is technically what we talk about it going backwards. We know the planet isn't actually going backwards. Think of it as like two cars pulling up to a stop sign and you moving at different levels. That's where it looks like one car is going backwards as you slow down and one speeds up. That kind of illusion. That's what retrogrades are. That illusion. So at any rate, the shadow period is where did Mercury start its retrograde and what does it get back to before it starts to really move? Because it's going to crawl for a few days for sure at that 4 degrees. It's not going to take off right away. But then when it gets to 15, which will be August 24th, when it gets to 15 Leo, then it'll start really moving because Mercury, once it gets in that inner track on, it's the fastest mover there is, right? So part of what's also going on with Mercury is that you have Mercury all week is going to be sextiling Mars. So Mercury, god of communication, and all of the ways of communication, talking to Mars, because sextiles are good. We like the planets to have sex. It's a good thing. Mars, of course, is the god of war, which is aggressive and conflict and action and, stuff like that. So we like it when it's in good aspects. We get a little nervous with that opposition, but the opposition will be loosening up by the end of the week. And, as a result of that sextile, Mars and Mercury, you end up, not only do we have a grand trine, a minor trine, a kite, we also have a thing called a mystic rectangle. What do all these terms mean? Well, the kite, the easy thing to think about is it's a trine, a grand trine and a minor trine, which means spirit is here to lift you up, to help you manifest your dreams, help you, take off, right? A mystic rectangle is exactly what it sounds like. It's The universe has got you. It's a special spiritual calling, a spiritual fated energy with blessings because they're sextiles and trines. Trines, of course, being very, very favorable and easy flowing energy. And so this chart has got a lot of positive aspects and a little bit of challenge.
Yeah, I would say overall, there's a little bit of challenge this week, but I'd say the blessings probably outweigh them. Mostly because if you take a look there, you can kind of see that kite formation is there. But what happens is, and that's today, right? That's right now. At this point, Mars is starting to move out of view of Neptune and Saturn. So whatever's happened has already happened, and now you're trying to resolve it. You'll probably resolve it by the end of the week. But what I will say is that if you take a look at tomorrow, you'll see that Jupiter and Venus come into perfection tomorrow. They'll both be at 14 degrees Cancer. So you definitely want to consider, where is Cancer in your chart? Where is it at? Is it, what house is it in? Okay. And that's, if you listen to the horoscope at the end, if you stay listening till the end, at the horoscope at the end, listen for your rising sign, okay? And so when you listen for your rising sign, that's going to tell you what house it's in pretty much, okay? And if you don't know how to find your rising sign, if you go to that link at the top of the stream here, you'll see that that is you can, for just a couple bucks, you can get the beginner's guide to your astrology chart. So that's essentially what's happening, essentially. And then I because Mercury is also creating a mystic rectangle tomorrow, there is a lot of blessings coming tomorrow. And so and that's Tuesday, tomorrow, Tuesday. So on Tuesday, if you're experiencing some really awesome blessings, some sort of good luck, some sort of great thing that happens for you, Mercury is still opposite Pluto, but Mercury retrograde should start resolving because Mercury started to pick up and get moving. And the Mars opposition is moving out. And so while the good things that have been happening for you have been okay, now you might experience a bigger blessing of some sort. And I think by Tuesday, you're going to really have a good idea of what that blessing might be. And it really will depend on where Cancer is in your chart. And that's why I said listen to for your rising sign at the end. And that's exactly what I'm going to be focused on, because it's also part, Mercury forward is also happening on that day, creating a mystic rectangle. So that feels like it's talking to fate. It's talking to the goodness of you. It's talking to blessings for you, good luck. So by the way, Alyssa earlier asked, I'm starting to think that my mind must consider self-care is productivity. Void, of course, I'm always more productive. Alyssa, that makes me think about your moon's conversation. Is it in a conversation with like Saturn or something? That's what makes me think right away. Like, is it in an aspect to Saturn, or is it in Capricorn? I don't remember. I know you've told me before, but I just can't keep everybody's chart in my head. Yeah, so Bianca's like, what did I miss that you said about Cancer? So Venus and Jupiter are coming into conjunction in Cancer, Bianca. So what that means is that's a big blessing, especially for anyone with any other planets there, Cancer, Sun, Moon, or rising. You're gonna probably feel it more. Any other, like if you had Venus there or Jupiter there or anything like that, it would also be a blessing for you. The only people it might kind of challenge might be Capricorns, but it would mostly just be maybe something that you have to balance. So the good news is if it does start to bother Capricorns, they can lean into a different whatever's happening, and they'll probably find a blessing because Jupiter's involved. So, okay. um, and so Seraphim said, I have a Star of David in my natal chart, all 3 signs and all 3 fire signs. Okay. My sun is in Cancer, my moon is in Aquarius, and my rising is in Aries. Well, that just means, Seraphim, that you have a spiritual reason that you're here. That's what a Star of David is. So a Star of David means that you're here for a spiritual reason. You're kind of like reborn, like you were probably some sort of like monk or something in a past life, and so then now you're back. But this time you're meant to live a different life for some reason. So there's something else that you're learning in this lifetime.
Sorry, that was me putting in a comment I didn't know it would copy 17 different ways.
It's okay. Okay. So Samantha said, so a blessing would happen in that house. Yeah, it probably will be related to that information, just because Jupiter and Venus will be traveling through wherever Cancer is, whatever the house is for you. So okay. Alyssa said, no aspect with my moon and Saturn from what I can see, but my moon sign is in Gemini. That's why, Alyssa, because Gemini is busy, 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 and Gemini is sad and depressed when they're not. I have Mars in Gemini. Trust me. Oh my gosh. It just makes you busy all the time. This is what you want to do all the time. So, yeah. So it's, that's probably why. So you can see that self-care is taking care of business, taking care of things. When you get things done, you feel better, and that's a very Gemini trait. All right. So Bright Hawk, I did notice the only thing that is a little bit challenging is that the moon's in Aries on Tuesday.
Right. And so when the moon is in Aries, and so you have this giant void, and then the moon comes out of the void at 10:30 in the morning. Did that somehow get... Oh, there it is at the top of the second line there. So when it hits 0 Aries, again, we're talking at that world point, we're talking Saturn and Neptune, amplifying that energy. So like when the moon comes out of the void, don't be surprised if there's this cranked up energy tomorrow morning. I'd be curious. Hopefully it's not fighting energy. Hopefully it's get it done energy, I'm gonna say. So the void moon at coming into Aries, when we have moon in Aries, the saying is you have the beautiful, cool moon meeting fiery, spicy Mars. It's like a cat on a hot tin roof. People who have Aries moons tend to have a little bit of a nervous disposition. Cat on a hot tin roof. There's this, what happens when water hits a hot frying pan, right? And so there's this nervousness sometimes, or overwroughtness, and afraid to do the wrong thing kind of thing. And so it can be a little bit on the the only word I can come up with is on the anxious side, So the moon in Aries, of course, is going to answer to Mars, because Aries is ruled by Mars, which is on the opposite side of the sky. So again, we're having this opposite, hey man, yelling as far as you can across the field. You're probably not going to be heard or heard correctly when it's the opposite. It's the hardest kind of thing to resolve, oppositions. So it's not an easy vibe for the moon on the Aries moon on Tuesday the 12th. But we've got, again, we still have all these mystic rectangles and the kite and the grand trines and the minor trines. So hopefully all of it sort of balances out and you have that beautiful Venus Jupiter conjunction in Cancer. So hopefully everything kind of balances out a little bit.
I think the all the positivity in the sky, even on the next day. I'm just going to pop up the slide for a few minutes and then bring us back. But that's the slide for Wednesday. You can see the mystic rectangle stays, the trine stays. Now that kite is starting to kind of deteriorate because of Mars movement, but there's still that minor trine. There's still the trine between the sun and the moon there. And Mercury's still opposite Pluto, but it's moving away now. So I think like the conflict is over. Like I think at this point we will I'll get used to clicking on the right thing. At this point I think that we're actually like I think the blessings that Jupiter, Venus, and Cancer is a real blessing, you know? And Jupiter is really like Jupiter is really expansive. So it can be a lot about belief systems, it can be about traveling, it can be about worldviews. No wonder my grandson is getting all these language classes, right? Okay. And like, like and I'm his teacher and I have Saturn in Cancer. So is, okay. And so like Jupiter, especially in Cancer, it does tend to amplify um patriotism, whether you're American or German or African. It could amplify your own patriotism, how you feel about your home. So it can make it about your family, it can be about your neighborhood, it can be about the city you live in or the country you live in. Okay. And it tends to amplify your belief systems in relation to that. How does that feel to you? How are you feeling about that? And with Venus there, Venus is going to bring some sort of blessing. So she might bring in some sort of positivity. It could be money, it could also be relationships or friendships, or some sort of support, some sort of resource. And you just have to listen to that resource. All you have to do is say yes. That's how Jupiter tends to work. And so I would warn anyone with a Capricorn placement, you might need to say yes. You might need to accept, sort of. I was just thinking about my grandson this morning. I was like, "Are you kind of bored?" And he doesn't usually admit. And this time he was like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Okay, well, would you like to do something? Would you?" And he was like, "Probably." And I was like, "How about some extra classes, man? Would you like to take some extra classes?" And he was like, "Yeah," like that. And all of a sudden he wanted to take extra classes. But I need him to tell me that, and I need to know that I'm not pushing him too hard, right? Because he's taking like Arabic and Chinese and or I don't know. I don't even know anymore. Right. So but that's what I mean. It's like you don't he's a Capricorn. He has 4 planets in Capricorn. He loves hard stuff, but I don't know where his limit is. Only he knows, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Capricorn, you might just have to say yes. Um, you could resist whatever it is if you stay in an old habit or an old behavior, right? I just told you he had to overcome 2 or 3 behaviors, and then he even said thank you. Okay. And for a 7-year-old, that's a pretty big deal if you know kids. Okay. And I'm just saying you might have to overcome kind of your behaviors in order to say yes. And then when you do say yes, it probably really will be a blessing. So it will be some sort of resource or some sort of thing that you would really like to have, or something that would bring blessings to your life. Maybe you didn't even think about it. It will really depend on where Cancer is in your chart. So, like I said, look for Cancer. It kind of looks like the 69 sort of picture. It does kind of look like 69. And so, it's usually blue. I showed it in the chart and I'll show it again. Um, Samantha's like, that makes a lot of sense to me. Good, Samantha. I'm glad you're hearing that. And Alyssa said, I have 5 placements in Capricorn stellium. So yes, it is for the week. Right. So if something gets offered to you, don't look away from it. Say yes. Say yes. Okay. Because it's probably a blessing. It's probably Jupiter knocking at your door there. All right. So if you take a look, Jupiter and Venus are right there on the right hand side. They're right on the right hand side over there. And the Jupiter kind of looks like the number 4. And Venus, of course, looks like the female symbol. And they're right next to each other. Yes, they're separated by a house on this, but in this type of chart, the house line doesn't matter. We could even take them out if we wanted. But Jupiter and Venus are together there. They're traveling together. And they're just, the fact that they're traveling together and they're perfectly together on Tuesday, Tuesday, the day before. Okay. But as we move on later on in the week, Brighthawk, did you want to add anything about Thursday or Friday?
Yeah. So on so just to finish Wednesday, 11 p.m. the void begins when the moon leaves Aries, or it's left Pisces, and no, where are we? 22. Sorry, it's leaving Aries. So at the end of Aries, the moon goes void at 11 p.m. Mountain Time. Apologies, you need to check for your time zone. And again, I just want to remind folks, there's a wonderful app called mooncalendar.astro-seek.com. You can put in your time zone for your area and it'll tell you the void moon every day of the week for you in your time zone, so you don't have to try to guess what we're doing. Okay, so it's going to be all night. So there's one of our friends here works graveyard. You're going to have a void moon on Wednesday night. And then on Thursday, the moon is now obviously entered Taurus, and the void does not end until 1:30 in the afternoon. All through the night, all through the morning, Wednesday, 1:30. So take advantage of that, Alyssa. You could be as productive as possible. That morning might be just a gem for you. And now you start to see the red lines that have been fairly dark, the oppositions that we've been talking to, they start to let go. In an opposition, we keep when we look at transits, there's a term called the orb, and that's how much time do you allow, how many degrees do you allow per orb. So we talk pretty close, pretty tight orbs. We don't go really stretchy, not to 10 degrees, no way. We keep it more like to 5, 6 degrees at the most. Some people will normally go to 7 or 8 degrees, and I just don't feel like it's as necessary. It's good to know when they're separating, when they're coming together, and when they're separating. And in this case, we have separating energy on the Mercury Pluto conjunction. It's loosening up. On the Mars Saturn, it's loosening up. Again, there's only 4 degrees now, so it's really not as intense as it was. Mars and Pluto is still just 3 degrees difference. In a couple of days, it will shift. So those oppositions will let go. And if you have major placements in those oppositions, or those planets that we're talking about, Mars, Mercury, if one of those is your ruler, so Mercury, of course, rules Gemini and Virgo, and Pluto rules Scorpio. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pluto rules Scorpio.
And of course, we've already talked about Mars rules Aries, Saturn rules Capricorn, Neptune rules Pisces. So, but also in traditional astrology, Pisces generally has two rulers, not just Neptune, but Jupiter as well.
What I would say
discovered
real quick, Bright Hawk, is
Yeah.
that so the reason that we don't do bigger orbs, when you're reading your birth chart, your natal chart, the bigger the orb, the less of intensity it will be in your life. Okay. So the tighter the orb, the more present that situation or that fact about you is there. But more subtle things about you might be, or less important things or something like that, will be at a larger orb. But when you're doing what we're doing, which is more like predictive horoscope type of astrology, then you want to try to keep it tight on the nose, because, and that's why when we say it's perfected, like the Jupiter and Venus will be perfected on Tuesday. And so perfected means they're both at the exact same degree. They're on top of each other. They're at that exact, if Mars is opposite Saturn, it was perfected last week. I think it was actually Saturday. And so that Mars opposite, that's perfected. When we say perfected, we mean it's exactly on the nose. Okay. But then what happens is the more perfected it is, the more you can feel it. That's the moment it happens. But you might, like, just because you have a problem with the system, with the insurance company, that's going to linger on and on and on. But it probably started at right around that exact moment, the exact degree. Okay. And it might depend on your placements. It might depend on what it's transiting in your chart and what conversations it's in with other things in your chart. Okay. And that's why if you come for a reading with me, I can say, oh, that's going to happen. You'll probably hear back about that job on the 15th. And then that's how I know that, because I can see it in your chart. I can usually find where that's happening, if it's going to happen, and that's predictive astrology. That's how it works. Okay? And so a lot of times it has to do with the reasons a general horoscope like this may not fully fit you, is because there could be something else going on in your chart at the time, or the other thing that gets in the way is trauma. So if you're acting out of trauma and not acting out of your chart, you won't experience the greatest of things, or you won't experience everything the same way. Okay? And it just, I don't know, like, if we don't express, if we're expressing in trauma, it won't be authentically who you are. Okay. And I think that's what it has to do with, because your astrology chart is your authenticity. But make sure that you don't make quick judgments. For instance, if you read about Scorpio, don't come back and say, well, all Scorpios are backstabbing jerks or something, because that's not true. And that's just a little bit of it. And remember, there's so much more than anything bad you ever heard about any zodiac sign, or any assumption you've ever made about any zodiac sign. There's a way to help you understand it more fully. And all zodiac signs sort of have a dark side and a lighter side to them. There's sort of like good things that they do, and then not so great things. And that's always true. And sometimes when we're acting out of when we're acting out of trauma, we'll act out the shadow part of that placement of your chart. And then once you heal it, you'll start to act out the light of it. And in fact, that is how to heal yourself, is to start to move towards the light. Okay. So, so just so you understand what we're talking about. Sorry to get on that little rant, but Okay. Anyway, um,
Oh,
so
but it's worth talking about because Thursday evening, since we're kind of gotten doing a little education here about the transits, I want to point out on the chart on Thursday, one of the things that happens on Thursday is that Mercury Pluto there's still an opposition there, and it ends up being a T square with the moon. And then eventually that T square is going to kind of rotate, and it's going to be the nodes in a couple of days. So T squares are where you have an opposition, and then at the top of the T square, and that's exactly what it is, whoever's at the top of top of that triangle is squaring the other two spots. It's very challenging, but a T square is meant to be a challenge. It's meant to be an opportunity, and the top of the T, which in this case on Thursday afternoon it would really be, the top of the T is the moon, and the moon has just entered Taurus on Thursday afternoon, and the moon loves being in Taurus because of Taurus, of course, is all the fine things in life and takes really good care of, good food, good surround, good people. So the moon is comfortable in Taurus, and so it's going to be mediating this conversation between Pluto, planet of transformation, and everything under, right, and Mercury. And that's still just creeping along there. It's now gotten to 5 degrees. It's taken 4 days for it to move 1 degree, but then pretty soon it's going to start. So that T square is part of what I wanted to also note. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was there's a green line. I don't know if you can see it, but green lines are in conjunctions, also known as a quincunx. This is 150 degrees. So of course 180 degrees is opposite of the chart, right? 150 degrees, it's just over 1, right? It's a really challenging aspect. I know because I have a number of them. And what it means is that it's fated energy. So we have a conversation between the moon in Taurus and Mars, and that in conjunction. And in conjunctions are another way I think about them in terms of astrology is when you're suddenly compelled to do one thing or another. I don't know, I'm supposed to go left. There's just something that way. I need to go that way. Some urge to call somebody that you haven't talked to, or action that you've procrastinated, and now you're like, I gotta do this. That's that compulsion that I have to do this. That's the vibe of an in conjunction. So don't ignore it. Absolutely don't ignore it. And because Mars is involved, is there something Mars is asking you to take action in relationship to? And hopefully it's healing, because the moon has just passed over Chiron. So what is that conversation? What is that thing you really need to do and you haven't done it and you got to do it? That kind of thing. And it might have an emotional basis to it because the moon's involved. Yeah, so that's Thursday evening.
Oops. Okay. So, questions? Are there any questions? Let's see. There is a huge thing from Brianna. So she says, I have a 96-year-old client. He is declining. His family is shit. Excuse my language. They are reporting me to APS constantly. We have 3 closed reports. They keep trying to force me to quit as they want him in a home so they can take their inheritance early. I just want him to go peacefully. He doesn't deserve this stress. It is kind of stressful to move him to a home right now. Yep. I'm struggling to stay stronger and not quit. But what I would say, Brianna, about that is, according to the astrology, I mean, I'm not looking at your chart or his chart, so it's hard to say, but whatever happens is meant to happen. Like, it's totally fated, especially by Tuesday, Wednesday, as Jupiter and Venus are conjunct, and even as the mystic rectangle comes together, because a mystic rectangle is fated, and that's going to happen on Tuesday, Wednesday, Brianna. And so maybe it's meant to happen that way. Maybe there's some reason it's meant to happen that way. Maybe there's something that you don't fully understand about their past lives or his past life or anything like that. It could be a whole bunch of things you don't know. And just keep that in mind, because Saturn and Neptune are traveling together. So that means there's some sort of illusion going on. You could be under an illusion, or they could be under an illusion, or the system could be under an illusion. Okay. It's really hard to say. And it will be interesting to see the way it unfolds, because then that will tell you exactly what is meant to happen. I mean, if you know his birthday, I'd be happy to look at his chart and try to help you with it. But just know that no doubt the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. Okay. Um, so, um, so anyway, so I think that as the inconjunct that Bright Hawk was talking about on Thursday, that seems to kind of disappear pretty quickly by the time we get to Friday. And if you take a look at Friday, I'll just show you Friday real quick here. If you take a look, it's mostly blue lines. I mean, all the oppositions are fading. So I feel like by the time we get to the weekend, it's really going to be just fine. Like, I feel like we might have a bit of a emotional challenge maybe on Sunday. Only because the moon is in a square to the nodes. So that feels like, is there a behavior that you're engaging in that holds you back from your growth or moving forward? Is there something, because moon in Gemini can be very chatty, especially in the mind. It can be very like, right? And so that makes me think like maybe your thinking could, like old thinking pattern could keep you from moving forward. And that's the big thing that I notice. Otherwise, the week is really good. But just on Sunday, there might be some sort of mindfulness thing you might want to pay attention to, or something like that. But really, the whole week is really good. So just any thoughts that come up on Sunday, I would say to like journal about them and try to work on those. What do you think about the moon in Gemini, Bright Hawk?
The moon likes Gemini and, of course, air. So, what are we thinking a lot about? Gemini is also very social, likes to network, likes to talk to everybody, know everybody. I just love how much blue. Like, the chart is like practically all blue on Friday and Saturday, which just means trines and sextiles and beautiful blessings from the universe. So things should feel like they're really flowing. And you're going to love to know on Saturday is a void moon all day. So the moon is moving from, let me just double check. It's just moved into Gemini from Taurus, and it goes void. And somebody said, "What does void mean?" So you've just joined us, as I talk about it a lot. The void of course moon. I didn't come up with the name. That's the name. A void of course. It is when the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. And so when it changes signs, think about how different it is elementally. When it goes from, we started off the week with fiery Aries, then we moved into earthy Taurus, then we moved into airy Gemini, and now, after Gemini comes Cancer, which of course is water, and when the moon gets back to Cancer, we're home. Howdy, I'm home. You're comfortable. You're happy to be home. You get to do what you want to do, be where you want to be. So, moon is kind of be coming back home. But on Saturday, it's void all day. Okay. And then it comes out of void at 4 p.m. So Saturday night, be interesting. If Saturday night feels like let's go party or something, because that would be a very Gemini thing to do. They're very social creatures. And like we were saying, Gemini likes to be busy. So there's that. You feel good when you're productive and making progress. So I love the abundance of blessings Friday and Saturday. And then on Sunday, it's pretty chill. And Hollis kind of mentioned you have that T square with the nodes. I mentioned it earlier as well, where the moon is in this, again, in a conversation. So what are the nodes? The nodes are actually not planets. They're what we call luminaries of the moon. And so the south node, and I'll try not to go into the weeds. Never mind. The south node basically is your karma, your past lives, your past relationships, all things to do looking backwards. North node, of course, is your destiny, your dreams, your visions, your purpose. What did you come here to do? And who did you come here to do it with? Sometimes the person you're supposed to be with or something like that might have your, wherever your north node is, that's the person you're drawn to sometimes. Not always, but just saying, north node is your destiny. So sometimes so when the moon is having a conversation, I always look at squaring the nodes as a conversation at a soul level, because when we think about the nodes, we think about not just this incarnation, this lifetime, but the soul's journey. And that's what the nodes, when you're looking at a chart, will help us understand and help reveal what you may have come here to do this time, what your purpose is. When we look at synastry, we look at the nodes. Did you have a contract with this person, a soul contract with this person that you agreed to come back and do things in a certain way? There's so much information we get for when we look at the nodes. So when the moon is having a conversation with them, I always feel like it's that personal time to check in. How am I doing? Am I on track? Have I neglected anything? Do I need to focus more on one thing or another? It doesn't have to be a bad thing. Squares are often opportunities, challenging opportunities to make a decision, to do something different. Trines are such blessings, sometimes you don't even realize how good you've got it, right? So that's what the weekend looked like. And overall, I would just say the weekend looks very positive.
Just trying to get to unmute myself. Yeah, and so one of the things about the thing on Sunday is I think that it will be very fleeting. So that's why I just said, to just kind of, because the moon moves pretty quickly. And so as it will move, it will create that square, I think Bright Hawk, you put it's at 5:55 and it's pretty close to perfected at that point. At 6 p.m. on Sunday night. So I'm almost thinking like after social interactions or something like that, you're doing some reflection. Maybe you have, especially because it's Gemini in particular, and Gemini tends to be kind of on the social side. You might find yourself kind of going, did I say too much? Or you might be like, just whatever kind of thinking you might have going on, just kind of just let it go. Let the moon take it away. Maybe do a little meditation, take a walk or something, and just let that go. So of course, I think Alyssa said she's a Gemini moon, so she might have a little bit more harder time. So that one doesn't work either. So anyway, what did Alyssa just say? Okay. Alyssa said, very spot on node wise for my late husband and I. My sun sign and north node are in Pisces. His sun sign and my south node are in Virgo. Yes. Yeah. That's how we know that you're fated to be together. That's how we know that. Yep. So that's pretty awesome, Alyssa. Yeah, so usually the nodes are in a conversation of some sort, or someone's node will be on your thing here, or on this planet, or on that planet. When the nodes are aligned in any kind of synastry or relationship, that's pretty significant. It's some sort of fated thing. I wouldn't say that all relationships are like that. I would say that most are. But what I've noticed is sometimes those are not necessarily involved, but that doesn't mean you're not fated. It just means that your trajectory in life might be slightly different. If they're going in opposite directions, that still works, because sometimes people like people are growing into what you had in the past, type of thing, or something like that. Okay. And if it's in the same sign, the other thing about the nodes is that when we're looking at synastry, we count the whole sign. So if my south node, for instance, is in Taurus, and Bright Hawk's Jupiter is there. Okay. Um, and my north node is in Scorpio, and I think that's where Bright Hawk's Neptune is. So my destiny will open Bright Hawk's third eye. See how I did that? So that's my destiny. What I'm working towards will open Bright Hawk's third eye more, because Neptune, that's what Neptune does, and Scorpio is intensely in that way. So that's an example of some synastry. Okay. Um, and it counts for the whole sign usually. Okay. All right. So we're going to do little horoscopes, and I'm trying to see, the share feature makes the charts really small. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. Like, can you see the chart when it's that small? Maybe you can still see it on the phone. I don't know, because I'm not looking at this on a phone. Um, okay. So Alyssa said, "Oh, for sure, I can see that as well." We also had double crossing vertex. My vertex crosses his ascendant. Okay, and that would mean that his life would expand you, Alyssa. So somehow by being with him, your life will expand, and his vertex crosses my vertex too. Okay, interesting. So yeah, it is interesting how anytime any relationship, good or bad, is often fated. So even bad relationships, if you take a look at the chart, like you're like, God, I broke up with him, it's really bad, and you're trying to understand yourself and why you went through that. You can look at both of those charts. If you look at their birthday, and you look at the way each other interacts with each other, it will tell you what part you'll be able to see the trauma. You'll be able to see how you both interacted and impacted each other, obviously in a shadow way, because and I believe that it is free will to choose whether you express any part of yourself in the light or in the dark. And so I do think that sometimes in relationships, people are very fated to be together, but one person keeps choosing, let's say, drugs and alcohol, and they come away, and you end up having to break the relationship. I believe that is it may be a possibility that you guys break up, but that doesn't mean that's the only person in the world for you, because there are probably other twin flames or soulmates out there in the world that would come back to you, that would be also well aligned, probably in a different way. And it doesn't necessarily mean just because that person made those choices that you're now SOL with no partner ever at 22, when this person won't choose to take care of themselves or chooses to end their life or something. Okay. It doesn't mean that you forever now have no partner. That's not how it works. There's not just one person in the world for you. There are many possibilities I think this puzzle of our world is more on free will than you think. Okay. So Seraphim said, my partner also is a Cancer with Aquarius moons and Aries rising. Okay. So I just want to let you know there's big blessing coming for Cancer right now. So just be aware of that. And it will be a big blessing of some sort of expansion. Okay. So you guys give us feedback about how you feel about the charts. How well can you see them? Is it better this way? Are you able to hone in on what you want to see? And that kind of thing. Just try to give us some feedback about that, because I'm about to set up for tomorrow's Jupiter Venus conjunction.
So while Hollis does that, I'll remind folks that the horoscopes that we do are for the sun, moon, and rising. And most people are very familiar with their sun sign. If you don't know what your rising or your moon sign is, this little discount code we give for a little beginner's guide to astrology, how to read your chart, how to understand those basics. What is the sun? What is the moon? And what is the rising? What's vital is that you have your birth time. If you don't, it's not the end of the world, but it's just a lot more accurate if you do. And it'll help you get a free chart, how to understand it. It's very few dollars with the 50% off. And it makes this podcast hopefully that much easier to understand. And the other thing you could use this coupon code for, maybe you've already gotten the beginner's guide and you're ready for a little bit more. Well, we have an Astrology 101 course. That is your basic astrology class broken into 5 parts, 5 hours. You can take it at your own pace. And the amazing thing is not only do you get the course, but you get 2 one-hour sessions with Hollis to help answer any questions about your chart, which is an incredible deal. I'm just going to say. And Hollis is, I'm totally biased and willing to tell you that Hollis is an amazing astrologer. And if you are really, trying to figure some stuff out, maybe it's, and of course, astrology is great at helping us understand relationships, helping us understand our purpose, helping us understand all manner of things, relationships with your family, what's going on in a bigger picture. Boy, anytime you have, bump into major roadblocks or, gosh, why isn't the energy flowing? It's a great time to check in with your chart, talk to an astrologer, somebody who can help you. If you're doing major things in your life, I have a surgery coming up, I have a this, I have a that. It's really good to know what's going to happen energetically the day that that thing arrives. A lot of people do not pick wedding dates without consulting an astrologer, which you should. And so anyway, are you ready to go, Hollis? I'm just creating a little time for you. All right.
Okay, sorry about that. I just had to unmute. Thanks, Samantha. Samantha said an individual reading is helpful. I'm definitely recommend. Thanks, Alyssa. I appreciate Samantha. I appreciate that, Samantha. Thanks so much. Alyssa's like, I'd be absolutely lost without astrology. Alyssa, me and Bright Hawk say that to each other all the time. We're like, how do people live through their life without knowing what's going on? Oh man, I have no idea, but clearly people do. Yeah, I check in regularly and I like to know. So yes, totally weird thing, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to take a look here at the upcoming astrology. And I'm just going to go through what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show the chart here. And so this is first, of course, I'm going to start with Aries. And I don't even know if I have to show the chart. What do you guys think? Do you need to see the chart? So I'm going to try it without and see how you guys feel about it. Okay. All right. So, this is Aries. This is the horoscope for Aries, sun, moon, and rising. So if you have an Aries sun or an Aries rising, this will apply to your life. And if you have an Aries moon, it's going to apply to your more of your emotional well-being for this week, August 11th through the 17th. And pretty much, Aries, what's going to be happening for you is going to be happening in your home, your family of origin. Okay. There's going to be some sort of blessing, some sort of excellent expansion coming into your family that's going to feel really good into your family or your family of origin. Could be your parents, could be your parents giving you something, could just be about your home or your home of origin, even the country that you live in or something like that, Aries. Some sort of blessing is on its way, and it probably will have a lot to do with your home or the community you live in or the neighborhood or of course the country you live in. And it will be very much a blessing, probably a lot about your belief systems, and how you feel emotionally, even possibly about money. Okay, so it could absolutely be that kind of blessing. So I encourage you to stay open. Okay, and now for Taurus, this is for Taurus. This is for Taurus, sun and moon and rising. For your sun and rising, this will be applied to your life. But then, of course, for your moon, it will be more emotional. So if you have a Taurus moon, this is really going to be about your community. This is really going to be about the neighborhood you live in or the people around you somehow. It could absolutely have to do with like siblings or anyone like that. um and so you want to be paying attention to that. You want to be paying attention to siblings communication. That's where your blessing is coming through. Hold on a second. Okay. um And I think the blessing also about your home and how things are working for your home and everything that's happening in relation to home and work, I think will also be coming to an end. So if there was some sort of conflict in relation to home and work, that conflict is going to be dissipating. You'll find a solution for that. And then Taurus, you'll be able to move on and you'll be feeling a lot better about the people around you, which I think is really great, right? You could use some blessings, right? And then as we move into, this is the horoscope for Gemini. This is for Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. So for your sun and rising, this is going to be very much affecting your day-to-day life, or like what's happening in your life. It's going to be a more of a theme in that way. And I would also say that for moon, it's going to probably affect how you feel about this topic. Okay. And so for moon, it's probably going to be like, I feel this about money, or my values, or I feel strongly about. It could be absolutely about your patriotism. You could feel strongly about your home or feel strongly about the country you live in, or whatever that is. Okay, so you're probably going to feel stronger for the moons. But for the rising in the sun, if you have Gemini sun or rising, it's probably going to be more about money. It could be about the way you spend money or the way you earn money could change. Maybe you become aware of something, Gemini. You could easily become aware of something. That awareness is a blessing. It will come together on Tuesday. So you want to be listening up for that, especially if it's positive or feels like a blessing. It's really going to bring together some real positive blessings for you in your life. And it's faded. So whatever you hear on Tuesday, Gemini, that's really what's going on. Okay. So it's a blessing. Jupiter and Venus are in your house of money. It could absolutely be money. Some sort of money could come in some way, in some sort of blessing, maybe an unexpected blessing, especially since Uranus is currently in your sign, Gemini. It could be absolutely an unexpected, unseen, or just an unexpected blessing or resource of some sort. Could also be a person. okay, because it is Venus, which has to do with relationships. So it could absolutely be a person that you meet or a person that you come together with that could feel really good. Okay. Um, and then as the next horoscope is for Cancer. So Cancer, this is for Cancer moons. This is going to be about how you feel about your family, about your patriotism, about your world, and about yourself and your experience in it, okay? But for the sun and for the rising, that's really going to be about who you are. This is going to have to do with your identity. It could have to do with your health. It could mean that finally, the right doctor comes along. So this is this week, especially Tuesday. Finally, the perfect diagnoses could come in, or something like that. Okay. So this is Venus and Jupiter speaking in your first house, which absolutely has to do with the way you look. You might even get a new look. You might decide that you want to cut your hair, wear makeup, or try or get a new outfit or something like that. It's absolutely a good thing. It's a blessing. It has to do not only with expansion and luck, but it has to do with, like, feeling good, self-care, self-love, relationships with others, expansion, belief systems that help you believe in something, that help you believe in the blessings that are coming to you. Just make sure you're open for them and you're out there for them, especially if you're looking for some sort of relationship. Okay, Cancer? And now, as we move on to Leo, this is for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Leo, first of all, I'd say if you're Leo Moon, you might notice that you haven't been feeling too blessed, and you're not really sure if you really feel blessed. So if you're kind of feeling like that, check in, because you are. Okay, Leo, it's Leo season. And while you might have had a hiccup or a few hiccups, it's okay. Be aware also that psychic abilities could be on fire this week. You could absolutely find some great resources to help you tap into that third eye, or some belief systems that help you understand your third eye more deeply, especially if you are intuitive around unseen places, such as nursing homes, or hospitals, or any other unseen places like that. There could also be blessings coming from there. And I would also just keep yourself aware of any self sabotage that you do. That would be like indulgence, overindulgence. Try not to overindulge yourself this week, because you will be more likely to do that. Okay. So, Leo, especially, you probably won't see it until you've already done it. So I'm just going to just give yourself a free pass then. Okay. But you might, if you recognize that you're going down that path, you might be able to stop yourself before it gets to a point where you're not liking it very much. Okay. So, but Jupiter can sometimes be sort of overindulgent. Okay. And now the next is for Virgo. This is for Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, for Virgo moons, this is probably going to have a lot to do with how you feel about the people around you, and your home, and your community, and things like that. Okay. Or wherever Cancer is in your chart. It's probably how you feel about that. Okay. If you're a Virgo moon, let me just say, if you're a Virgo sun or Virgo rising, it's definitely going to apply to the people you know, your friends. You could have an expansion of friends. You could find some sort of way to socialize with those friends, especially on Tuesday, Wednesday. Would be some great blessings coming in, maybe from your friends, maybe some sort of resource or something comes in from your friends. Even like friends could, somehow pay you for something, or anything like that. Or it could also have to do with like patriotism, or how you feel about your neighbors. that kind of thing, especially the people that you're around all the time. So that's Jupiter and Venus on Tuesday, in your house of friends and people that have power over you. Now, next is Libra. This is for Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay. Now for Libra moon, it's probably going to be, it's again, like I said, like the moon sign is probably going to be how you feel about your community, how you feel about those people around you, how you feel about, maybe even how you feel about your career. It will depend on where Cancer is in your chart. Okay. But it's going to be how you feel in relation to that. And it could be blessings. You could find yourself in gratitude, Libra, especially since Venus is your ruling planet. And I would say that since it's for Libra rising and sun, I would say that you're going to have a blessing in your career, in your job. I would not be surprised to see you get a good, a good deal on something, or get a promotion, or get a bonus, or get recognized for something, or be able to shift your belief system in a way that helps you at work or makes work easier or better somehow there'll be some sort of improvement for you, Libra sun and rising. You'll really be able to experience an improvement when it comes to work or whatever you offer the world, whatever that is that you do, that you bring to the world, even if it's not a job, even if you like volunteer or something like that, or you make content or whatever it is. Okay, it's probably going to experience some expansion. All right, Libra. Next is Scorpio. This is for Scorpio sun, moon, and rising. So Scorpio, this has everything to do with your first of all, emotionally, it's going to have to do with how you feel about the people in your house and the people around you, and particularly your home in particular. Um, any of that kind of thing. And there might even, you're probably even going to have a little bit of a spiritual awakening around that. Okay, Scorpio. And this will go for Scorpio rising and Scorpio sun too. You'll probably have some sort of like aha or spiritual moment in relation to higher learning or an understanding of something a little bit bigger, a little bit higher. Okay. And as you tap into that Jupiter and Venus in the ninth house, it's going to expand your view through some sort of learning experience. You'll have some sort of learning experience or something that really opens your mind, it really opens you up and helps you see the world in a better way, or helps you with learning in a better way. It's going to be some sort of blessing. It's going to come through either the school. Oh, it could also come through law. Okay. So justice or anything like that. If there's any kind of legal thing going on for you, the fact that Jupiter and Venus are in Cancer in your ninth house, that's really great news, Scorpio. You're likely to win. So if anything's happening in the courts right now, you're likely to win, or any kind of good luck in that area, especially with spiritual expansion, higher learning, meditation, anything that raises your vibration, including law. Okay, law and justice and college, higher learning. Okay, so that's for Scorpio sun, moon, and rising. And next we have Sagittarius. So this is for Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. Sagittarius, this is going to have everything to do with your psychic abilities, with things that you see as taboo, stuff you don't want to talk about, but there could be a blessing. You could actually have a blessing come through one of those taboos. It could absolutely be through sex. It could absolutely be through other people's money. Sagittarius, this could also come through like taxes. There could be some sort of special thing that you get that you weren't even aware of before, or that you were aware of, that will come through. This would be an extra special blessing. It could also have to do with a belief system that helps you move away from your shadow, that helps you become more of your authentic self. Maybe you let go of trauma. Maybe you move past a traumatic thing, or you become somehow you manage your mental health in a better way. Okay. So you come across some sort of system or something like that could help you. Okay, Sagittarius. And now, um, although I will say, Sagittarius, Jupiter is your ruling planet. So also be careful not to overindulge. Warning, warning, don't overindulge, because you could get like a blessing of, let's say, money, and then find yourself out spending all that money on insert thing here that you like to indulge in. Okay, so try not to do that. Okay, because Jupiter is in your 8th house. Okay, and that's like our house of shadow and stuff that we don't always do very well. Okay, and now for Capricorn. This is for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, for your moon, it's probably going to be more about wherever Cancer is, especially if you're Capricorn moon. Emotions don't run really deep. Eh, Not that you usually recognize, especially Capricorn moons. Um, and so I would just look and see where Cancer is. Your rising is probably going to be make more sense, Capricorn moon. But if you're a Capricorn sun or a Capricorn rising, I would say just it probably come through someone else. It will come through some sort of relationship. You might just need to say yes. Okay. Sort of like I talked about earlier in the broadcast about how my grandson's a Capricorn. He's 4 planets in Capricorn. And he was bored. He had to move past some old behaviors of, denying that he's bored, or and trusting that maybe what I offered could be fun. And then he just had to say yes. Okay. So he had to move through a couple of behaviors. And then he was able to admit that maybe he really likes learning and really likes these classes, which is a little bit hard because he likes to be like his sister. So I'm just saying that, like, be aware that there might be some behaviors, Capricorn, that you have to move against, that aren't really who you are anyway. So just let that fall aside, Capricorn. You're really good at trying to be your authentic self, because it's hard to be anything else, right, Capricorn? And who wants to make it hard? So, Capricorn, try to stay who you authentically are, stay in that Capricorn energy, and just be ready to say yes. Whether you're a Capricorn sun or Capricorn rising, you're probably really going to feel it. It's definitely going to come through some sort of relationship. So, that could be a lover, that could be a friend, it could be somebody you work with, it could be from anyone. It's probably going to come from some relationship, including like a parent or a grandparent or a sibling or a cousin or whatever. Okay. And it could be any relationship at all, or maybe several relationships. Just be open and ready to accept and say yes. All right, Capricorn. And now, as we move on, this is the horoscope for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I think it's more the sun and rising. Did you guys notice that your sun and rising is more accurate maybe than your moon? I think the moon does really count for Cancer, and they might sense the emotions deeper, maybe Scorpio, but I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that all the moons would experience it this way. So you tell me, give me your feedback and let me know if it applies, but I know it will definitely apply to Aquarius sun and Aquarius rising. Aquarius, this is going to have everything to do with work. There's going to be blessings and resources that come through work, your day-to-day life. What do you do every day? There's going to be some sort of blessing or expansion there. Something big is happening for you, Aquarius. Embrace it now. Here it comes. Jupiter's bringing you a gift. Be ready to receive it, Aquarius. It's a beautiful, lucky gift for you. It's a blessing. It really will expand you onto the next step, onto the next, next thing that you're up to. Okay, Aquarius? So it's a great blessing, has to do with your day-to-day life. It could also be your health, Aquarius. Could also be your health. You could also find an expansion through health. Okay. And then there's Pisces. This is for Pisces, sun and rising. And Pisces, I'm going to say that this has everything to do with your children. There could be a major blessing through your children, some sort of expansion in your life that comes through, particularly through your kids, that brings some sort of blessing into you. Also, Pisces, you might find that your creativity gets stronger, or you might have some sort of special gift in regards to like some sort of creative thing that you made, or maybe a child gets recognized for something, or maybe there's some other sort of blessing or gift that has to happen for you, Pisces. If you're a Pisces moon, it's probably going to be about how you feel in the world, but also it could have to do with wherever Cancer is. So what's your rising sign? Listen to that. And so Pisces, you're really going to notice that Jupiter and Venus hanging out in your fifth house, which has to do with fun. You're going to have a good time. You're going to feel like you're having a great time. So this is a really great blessing. Okay. Like, and, if you're not feeling that way, I want to say, check in with yourself and see if you have been having blessings and maybe not counting them. Make sure you give some gratitude, Pisces, because sometimes you can get caught in that sort of victimhood mentality. You don't want to get caught there. So just try to give some extra gratitude, and I bet you start to notice some of your blessings. I think you just got to let the universe know that you're grateful. All right. So that's for Pisces. Next is, and that's the end of it. Yay! Oh my gosh.
Always amazing and impressive, and you got lots of comments and gratitude for all of those readings. That's always very impressive. It's not easy to do, but Hollis is very good at it. So I'm just gonna say, hands up for you.
Oh, Bianca was just saying that her North Node is in Cancer. Bianca, I would be looking at whatever happens is your destiny. So whatever blessing it is meant to be a blessing for you. So make sure you pay attention to what happens, especially Tuesday and any time this week. Anything comes through, it has something to do with your destiny. So it's a lot of fun. Thanks, Alyssa. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for all your love and blessings and your gratitude. Thank you. I'm going to pull 3 cards from the Love is Love deck.
We love seeing how the astrology and the tarot always seem to have a conversation together. So see what this week's cards have to offer.
All right. I just like to shuffle 3 times. Old habits. Brianna said Aquarius sun, and I'm ready and so grateful for any blessings. I'm ready for you to have blessings, Brianna. Let's put it that way. All right, great. Awesomeness. So I just want to say that this first card is very much about our past. How about Bright Hawk? Is it okay if I drop you out for a second?
Of course.
Oops, no, that's not what I meant to do either. Oh my gosh, Bright Hawk. I know how to function this thing, I swear. Did that work? No.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know why it won't do that. It won't make me bigger.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well. All right. So this is the conflict card. This is pretty much the Five of Wands. It's usually about mental conflict. What have you been thinking in your brain? Have you been at battle with yourself? What's been going on in that department? Like, really, that's exactly what this has to do with. This really has to do with, some sort of mental conflict or some sort of thing that you've been struggling with, probably in your mind. It's probably more thoughts than actual action. It's probably been maybe conflicting thoughts or conflicting feelings or anything like that sort of thing. That's really what this is going to be. See that Five of Wands. And you can see that there's like inner conflict, but it's all in your head. Okay, so this is about in the past. And now all of a sudden, that conflict is going to dissipate and you're going to be given these, which is a blessing for you know this is blessing because it's choices. I always say that choice is privilege. If you have a choice, it's a privilege, okay? And the fact that you have a choice is a privilege. There are some people that are running for their lives right now. There are some people that don't have any choice. There are some people that are not given a choice for a variety of reasons, and that's pretty much what this is about. Okay, this is about the Five of Cups and having a lot of choice. So be aware of that privilege in yourself. And going forward this week, this is the Strength card, which has everything to do with being strong and developing sort of a strength that you can't deny. Okay, that's infinite. And this might make you aware this week of everything you've come through, like everything we've come through since beginning to now. You might feel, wow, I've survived all that. Okay, like you might literally be like, I survived. Okay, I survived. Okay, and so this Strength card is really about backing up that experience and helping you recognize um helping you recognize that it's a strength, that what has happened for you is a strength. So like I said, remember, in the past you have this inner conflict that was in your mind. Okay, and that's the Five of Wands, and that's the inner conflict of thinking some sort of conflicts in your brain. And now that conflict is going to fade, and instead of having that conflict, you're now going to have lots of choices, so many choices that you just feel like, wow, I'm really privileged to have this choice. And then going forward, you're going to feel like you really have overcome something, and now you have become stronger. All right. All right. So trying to work the StreamYard. Thank you, Bright Hawk.
Excellent as always. That's just so cool. And you're getting lots of very cool. Always love these, says Brianna. Thank you guys for always taking time to do this for us. You are welcome. Thank you so much for your participation. This conversation always makes it, the fact that you guys participate a lot and write your questions and let us know what's going on for you, we love it. We love having that feedback. Hopefully you're all subscribers and you have the little bell so you always know when we go live, and we try to be really consistent about it being Mondays at this time. So many, many thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks so much for spending time with us this week. We hope you're feeling more connected to the cosmic energies in your life and what works for you. We send you lots of love on your journey. If you enjoyed today's show, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps reach more people who could use some cosmic guidance. Hey, and don't forget to share this episode with anyone who might need or want to hear it. And we love hearing from you, so drop us a comment and let us know what resonated most for you, or if you'd like to hear something new next week. Your questions and feedback make us better. Want to join us live? Subscribe! Catch us on Facebook and YouTube. And That's where you can ask real-time questions and be part of the Rainbow Soulstrology community while it happens. Until next week, trust your intuition, follow your inner wisdom, and remember, the stars are always supporting your journey. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars.